Good day, my lovely viewers. Welcome to Nation's Voice Tower. My name is Angelo Himalayas, your anchor. We wouldn't back down from bringing you the updates on political occurrences, the polity in Nigeria, the political system and its surrounding issues, and then the tribunal as it goes on until it ends, and then the subsequent inauguration of the president-elect if the tribunal goes in his favor. Now, I have a bit of information that's going to keep you glued to your seat. Did you know why the Presidential Election Tribunal, that is Peter Obi's petition against Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu and the Independent National Electoral Commission, do you know why it has taken so long to decide? Don't you think something is fishy somewhere? Okay, secondly, did you know that finally Asiwaju may be sworn in as president-elect before the tribunal should decide or should conclude proceedings, despite setting a date aside for what seems to be a final court hearing day? Do you know that Asiwaju will still become the president despite the court hearing? This is strange. This is giving me goose pimples right now. Now, lastly, did you know that even if the tribunal should find Bola Ahmed Asiwaju Tinubu of the All Progressive Congress and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, guilty that Asiwaju wasn't properly elected because one or two things or irregularities happened while he's still in office? Do you know that he would have 21 days to appeal this particular petition while he's in office? Do you know? I will say that's quite outrageous, but these things wouldn't stop us from pursuing the alleged stolen mandate. Now, human rights activist and legal practitioner and also senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, who has a big grip, he has a very big grip on constitutional law, and he's a master when it comes to constitutional law. He came on national TV to explain and answer all these questions I have given you. So, if you really want to know more about why the tribunal is being delayed, pick a seat, sit back, and listen to Femi Falana while he explains every reason wrong with the tribunal and why the tribunal has been delaying. To him, he feels the tribunal can be concluded in 14 days. But let's listen to him.
I've always believed that all election petitions should be concluded before the inauguration of an incoming government. But again, this time it's not limited to the president-elect. All the governors who have been elected, including the LP Labour Party governorship candidate and governor-elect
in Abia
State will be sworn in. All the legislators who have been declared winners of the election on the platform of APC, PDP, Labour Party, and all of them will also be inaugurated on the 29th
right. But for
May.
For the benefit of our audience who may not know these things, what is the law as it stands today with regard, for example, to the presidential
Now,
tribunal? I mean,
I
mean, there are different time frames for each level, aren't there?
By virtue of Section 285 of the Constitution, election petitions shall be heard by our courts and determined within a period of 180 days. That's 6 months.
That is on the tribunal level.
Yes.
Yeah, the presidential.
Also at the Court of Appeal level.
Right. So that's another 6 months.
No. For the presidential election,
right,
it starts at the Court of Appeal, and then you have an option to go to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
So if you have 180 days in the Court of Appeal, you have additional 2 months, 60 days in the Supreme Court.
Right.
In the case of governorship, which is the only one that allows for 3 stages.
Yeah.
You go to the election petition. Now, you are going to call witnesses The petitioners will have to call witnesses. The respondents will have to call witnesses. INEC will have to call witnesses. All this will take the entirety of the period. And of course, after hearing the case, the judges will need time to write the judgments.
To deliberate.
To deliberate, you know. So if we are going to take up the challenge facing us, we have to go back to the drawing table and ensure that we make the system to work. The procedure is time consuming. And at the end of the day, the judges will have to battle to be able to deliver their judgment within the 6 months. Right now, I think I was reading, I think it was in Bauchi, about 45 petitions have been filed. 45. And the judges have only 6 months to deal with them.
So basically they have to take the entire 6 months in order to properly
So in many of the states, over
create
40,
what resembles justice.
over 50 petitions have been filed.
Yeah.
And again, as I've said before, Nigeria records the highest number of election petitions in the entire world because we have refused to make our system to work. And all the legislators also want to take advantage of the loopholes in the system to keep themselves in office.
Yeah.
Conduct elections in February, right? If you embrace technology and make it work, we can conclude election petitions in 14 days or 21 days. But for me, I think it requires, no, of course, it does require constitutional amendment. Because right now, the Constitution provides for 6 months. At the time that provision was entrenched in the Constitution, the drafters never thought we were going to go electronic for 180 days, Court of Appeal for 60 days, Supreme Court for 60 days. That's keeping the governor in office for 10 months.
Yeah.
While his opponent or his opponents are fighting the legitimacy of his election. So this is the position. In fact, there's a provision of the Electoral Act, I think Section 120, which provides that even if the tribunal or the Court of Appeal this time around says the man who has been declared the winner of the election has not been properly elected, he has 21 days to appeal. Again,
and he still remains in office, right?
Once the appeal is filed within 21 days.
Right.
So that is the law now. But gone electronic. You don't need to go to the Court of Appeal. Now, if you've gone electronic, you don't need to have governorship elections, right? You don't need to have 3 stages. Now, that is the only one. It's only the governorship election that will start from the election petition tribunal to the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. All the others, 2 stages. So we need to also have a uniform electoral act that will capture the fears of Nigerians. We had the situation in 2007 when the president-elect, the late Yaradua, came out publicly to say that the election that brought me into power was highly flawed. That's the language, highly flawed. And I'm determined to put an end to bad elections in Nigeria on the basis of which is set up the Electoral Reform Panel. For me, I do not expect that the government that will be inaugurated on the 29th of May would think it's going to be business as usual. That question of legitimacy will have to be addressed. And interestingly, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu set up a committee as a non-state actor. After he had left as governor of Lagos, he set up a committee to promote the recommendations of the Waste Panel. And you trust Nigerians. Once he gets to power, he's going to be reminded. This was your position.
You're certainly reminding him.
This was your position.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still Nation's Voice Tower, your most preferred YouTube channel. I would say that Femi Falana there is a master when it comes to Nigerian law and its constitutional requirements. Okay, so whatever he has said there should be and is always what is acceptable. That means by implication, Asiwaju might be sworn in on 29th, and Obi and the obedience will sit back and wait until everything is finalized. After all tribunals that have been filed in Nigeria, the one contested in 2003 by President Muhammadu Buhari on Obasanjo, took up to like 2 years to even dismiss. The one contested still in 2003 by Peter Obi during when Chris Ngige was sworn in as governor-elect of Anambra State, even when he didn't win. It took up to like 3 years, almost half of its first tenure, for it to be decided and given back to Obi. So all these things take time. Well, it's so sad, but we'll see what happens if a miracle could ensue, or if the tribunal can tilt a little bit to give Nigerians a favor of justice, special social and political justice. That is that. Don't forget to like our videos, share it, make it go viral, and don't forget to watch till the end. See you next time.